On today's episode, we're talking about community involvement in Ventura with the Inside the 805's very own Mike Anderson. Steve, drop the beat. Hey guys, welcome back. It's episode 13 of the Ask Ventura Toyota show. And today we have with us Mike Anderson from Inside the 805 and Maranatha Financial. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on board.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Always a treat to see the show. I've seen it many times on Facebook, and nice to be here in studio. It looks beautiful, man.
In studio, in showroom.
In showroom.
Jonathan, please dial extension 118. Jonathan, please dial extension 118.
That's going to happen multiple times.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
That's good.
It's like they do a little lip sync action for me. Like, yeah.
I like that.
So we'll see. We'll see if you can. We'll try to both lip sync it next time.
Okay. All right.
Sweet. So anyways, met Mike a few months ago. Actually went on his show as the neighbor of the week with Stacy Johnson. That was pretty fun. I was actually in a room holed up in the building somewhere here after our sales meeting, and I'm like, this is weird, but it's pretty cool. So if you guys haven't seen his show, I'm sure you have, because if you've seen our show, you've probably seen his show. We're a lot smaller than he is right now. As you can tell, he's got a list, about 5 pages worth of people that he's interviewed and contacted, and he's getting word out in Ventura. He's getting community built together, getting information out there, events and stuff. So I'm going to just let you go with the mic. I don't really have a question at this point, but just roll with what you got.
It's been fun. No, it's been a year that we've been doing Inside the 805 and Big Money in the 805 with Tom Spence and Stacy Johnson. And then the whole premise of the show, kind of like what you guys are doing with this show, is to try and involve the community in terms of what people should know about. So when you think about everything going on in Ventura and in Ventura County, there's a lot of good stuff happening. There's a lot of good people doing good things. And how can we try and inform and educate the public about some of the stuff that they may not know is happening? That's been what's been like heavy on my mind to try and bring to people here in Ventura. And so that's kind of what the show's been all about. Awesome. For the last little over a year. So it's been 60 episodes. 60
episodes, man. We'll get there. Don't worry, Sandy. We'll get there. We will.
Attaboy.
That's why we put a zero in front so we can get that 100. That 100. Anyhow, so when does it air? And before you answer that, is it podcast? Is it video? Where do we go to watch it?
That's awesome. I mean, when you look at what's happening today in digital marketing, and it's really evolving, right? The show started as just a radio show, and it's on every week. AM 1590 News Talk, AM 1590 KVTA is when it's on. Sundays 8 to 9 a.m. Sundays 8 to 9 a.m. is when it's
stuff
on.
In the post. That's why I'm doing this.
There we go. I like that. It's right there.
Well, flashing light on air.
Quickly after we started airing, we realized it needs to be on podcast. We need a video. It needs to be on YouTube. We need to get it on Twitch, get it on Instagram, get it on Facebook, basically try and get it everywhere is the whole premise. Now I haven't got there yet. But we are doing some good stuff with video. We have the podcast that's been going, and that's doing well. And so you think about like doing a show like this or doing the radio show. You do it once, and if you get the content right, it really plays out well to share it in other mediums.
Repurpose it.
Yeah, and that's...
Dion, 2 Sam for delivery. Dion, 2 Sam.
Oh, that's a short one. Thank you, Sam. Thank you.
It's been fun, though. It's been really a good experience for me, and I've had a lot of great guests come on, and I think we've covered a lot of good topics here in Ventura.
So we talked kind of after, like my wife sat in with for Stacy one week. She was out of town. It was kind of cool. She was nervous. It was pretty cool. So I watched that whole thing go down. I'm like, man, this is really cool. So we talked afterwards a little bit, and what we're coming up with was what you're talking about, right? You're talking about podcasts going from radio to podcast to YouTube to Twitter to different social media sites. And I think the biggest issue is people in Ventura are getting younger and younger minded and younger in generation and coming out with all this technology. Where are they consuming it? Are they consuming it on podcasts? I'll be honest with you, I don't do podcasts.
Yeah.
My commute's 3 minutes to work. So I get a little bit of sports radio, I'm here. No time to get ready, no time to decompress at the end. But I know a lot of people are into the podcasting. Some more like here, maybe a YouTube, maybe a Facebook, maybe an Instagram kind of thing. So I know everybody's got their own deal. So I'm thinking is that why you're thinking reaching out to get more audience?
I think you're right. I mean, I think if you look at the demographics of people that listen to just the radio now, a lot of people don't listen to AM radio anymore, but the demographics that do, it's older. Yep. It's like 45 to 6 feet under is kind of what I'm seeing. So I think that's a great demographic, but I kind of want a little more. And you look at podcasts, I think that's the demographic of podcasts. It's wider, it's younger, but it's growing much more rapidly.
Huge.
And same with YouTube, but you're right, my neighbor drives an hour and a half. He works in Santa Monica, and every day he's making this commute, like 2.5, 3 hours a day, and he listens to podcasts galore. I think there's a lot of people that live in Ventura that work in Santa Barbara, that work in LA, and they're listening to podcasts. They're looking for good information. And what's funny about podcasting is it's almost like you kind of find something you like, and then you look forward to listening to it. And you may binge listen to a few and things like that. So it's just changing the way we consume things. And same with YouTube. YouTube's cool because someone may want to just kind of catch part of it while they're at work. So not in the car, but they're at work. But that's the places I kind of envision people listening to, the show or watching the show would be either in the car or maybe at the gym through their phone. Or at work, YouTube or something like that, catch a little bit of it while they're doing something else.
Keep their minds preoccupied instead of just vegging out to the 80s music or whatever else is playing, That's not my style.
I still like the 80s music. I'll still go there.
What's funny is when I became an internet director about 5 years ago, I was like, man, I gotta just get more information in this mind of mine. I just keep eating and eating and eating.
To the receptionist desk, guest waiting.
Oh, only one time. Thank you for the one time. So, I just trying to look for more info to share, to fill my brain up, to share with my kids, my family, my co-workers, and everybody else, and be kind of a more well-rounded. I know you do a lot of interviews with people local. Right. I mean, it's all local, right?
Yeah.
So, who are your favorite hosts, or not hosts, but guests you had on your show?
No, there's been 60 of them now, and they've
60 favorites.
No,
smart guy.
They've all been phenomenal. I feel like I've learned something from all of them, but there's two that just pop right up to mind. And the first one I think is kind of obvious. But
thanks, man.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, there you go. Big Mike.
That's just show.
I had Kevin Costner on, and it was right before the benefit concert that he did, and we spoke for an hour. We spoke for a long time, but the show was 20 minutes, and we talked about he grew up here.
Right.
And it's not that he grew up here, but he came of age here. So when people talk to him now and they're interviewing him, they're like, hey, man, where are you from? His response is always, oh, I'm from Ventura. And really, he only spent, a handful of years here, but those were the years that meant so much to him. And he shared so many great stories. And that was definitely one of my favorite interviews. But the other one that pops into my head is Dr. Margit Cox Henderson. She's a therapist. She wrote a book, and we were scheduled to do the interview, and it was right after the Thomas Fire hit.
Oh, wow.
And so we were all just dealing with the Thomas Fire, like in that week after, and it was just not processing it yet. And then I had a therapist that was already booked. And I said, hey, this is kind of going on. In addition to your book, can we talk about the fire? And she had so many amazing things to say. It blew my mind, dude. That was a great interview. I mean, it was really fascinating.
Yeah. The show's right after that deal. We did the show that morning.
Did you really?
Oh, man, it was hard. It was so freaking hard.
Yeah.
We're sitting here and everything's on fire. We're like, we are here. There's so many acres now. We're like live reporting. And I had our finance director talking about financing and stuff like that. It was just a tough gig all the way around. Because I could imagine what a therapist would be in your office talking about,
Yeah.
all the things she's hearing and talking to people about. That's pretty crazy.
She was great, but I mean, you think about that. So some of my favorite interviews have been therapists and authors. I had a guy, sports psychologist. His name's David Cook. He wrote this book, Golf's Sacred Journey. Now, this book, great book, wonderful read. If you like golf, it's a phenomenal book. But he was the psychologist, the sports psychologist for. It was the San Antonio Spurs when they were hot, winning everything.
Oh, okay.
You know, remember? You know, was it 20
Popovich,
years ago?
yeah. Twin Towers.
Yeah, he was in there. And so he has quotes from them about the stuff he used to talk to them about in the locker room, and now how he transformed that into someone playing golf and trying to compete at a higher level. Just golf's a very mental game.
It's all
so
mental.
He was a phenomenal interview. But like I said, every one of them. There's just, if you start talking to people and you get curious, they got something to say, and it's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, you can find good stuff, and it's just, I've loved every interview, man.
Yeah, you ask the right questions,
Yeah.
get a lot of good content, information. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
So, golf, man, I don't play golf. I have a golf bag at home, and when I get out there, it's usually to smash the ball and then see how far it goes and tip a beer.
There you go, man. Hey, if that works, that works.
It's been about probably 3 years.
Is
My
that
son
right?
golfs more than me. He's 14. So that's a tough gig, and it's the whole mental thing. I'm like, this is not, de-stressing me.
Yeah.
This
yeah.
is just invigor. It's
a tough
infuriating
game,
me,
dude. It is a tough
It's
game. It
so
looks
tough.
easy sometimes, but it's not an easy game.
That's
not
crazy.
to learn, man. Not to learn.
So this is not the only thing you do in the community.
No. This is
You
like
also-
one. I enjoy doing this, but this is one of a handful of other things that I try and be involved with.
Talk about like what we talked about before about the your Marathon Financial and what you're doing with the community with that, and how
Sure.
you're helping people and the education process kind of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so growing up, we didn't have money. My family, I went to 5 different elementary schools. My dad, just had trouble holding the job that he had. He got injured and he had some other issues going on, but we moved a lot. So
Yeah.
he didn't like paying rent, so we just, but it was fascinating to think about for me. Here's a guy that if he wanted some help financially, where could he go to get it? Who's trying to help this guy financially that's kind of not thriving really well, just kind of getting by? And there really was no one. And I think that bothers me a little bit. And so for me, I've always been kind of passionate about trying to do better for myself and trying to help other people. So it's not just about the financial services industry. Normally helps the top 5%.
Yeah.
And what about the other 95? So for me, I started a business trying to say, hey man, I want to help everybody, man. I mean, there's a way that you can get financial help and make it affordable and make it work where you can kind of start right. Because finance, you mess up your credit, it'll set you back 5-10 years if you don't do it right. So a lot of basics, So Maranatha Financial is my firm. It's a fee-only RIA. I'm a financial planner, financial advisor. No commissions for anything I sell. It's all either a flat fee or some other arrangement, but there's no commissions.
Okay.
And through doing the radio show and having that business, I created a course. It's called Family Money Class.
Oh, cool.
It's
It's something I didn't know.
Yeah,
Right
there you
on.
go. Family Money Class.
Break it open.
And so that's it, man. That's where, and I contracted with a couple schools where they trying to teach kids about these foundations about money. It's five 15-minute basically videos that they get to see.
And you're good on video, so So you've brought that out to the local elementary schools or high school?
Well, take it to high school is
school
the
level?
age where I think it's more, the kids are starting to think about it a little bit more. They start to know about credit. They all want a phone. If you want to get a phone, they're going to check your credit score. So if mom and dad ain't getting you the phone, you gotta you have to
prove it.
find
You
a
gotta
way,
prove
man.
yourself.
When you become an adult, it's like adulting. Adulting's a challenge for a lot of parents now because how do you teach your kid to be an adult when your kid's just your kid and they're at home, eating meatloaf, playing video games all day?
Yeah, where does it grow? The maturation happen?
It's changed in our society today. It's changed a little bit, and anyhow, you got to learn some skills, and
So how
one of
somebody
them's
find
finance.
that out? I mean, where do they look for that? Because that's a key thing. Because when I'm out there looking at different things, it's kind of tough to find. Even in the digital world, you can Google anything, but to find the right place is the hardest thing. How do we
Yeah.
find that info?
I mean, I
Where-
think
where
what
are they
you're
gonna go
saying. The course I created is FamilyMoneyClass.com. FamilyMoneyClass.com. You can check that out, and I think you'll be very happy with the content that the kids are going to get. But a lot of it's real basic, man. I mean, you got to start like when you get credit cards.
Yeah.
You got to know the rules of the game before you play.
Right.
If you don't know the rules of the game, you're already losing, man. I mean, so they want to come give you the credit card when you're at college, and they're going to give you the cool shirt or whatever giveaway to sign up.
Yep.
And that's cool. You're going to sign up. But you got to know how to use that thing, dude. You can't just go start swiping that thing.
It can
Kids
get away from you.
Parents don't teach us, dude. Money's taboo with a lot of families. Schools don't teach it. A lot of parents aren't teaching it. It's a problem, man. It's an epidemic. I mean, you look at how many people are good for retirement right now in America. It's an epidemic, dude. Money.
It's a total
There's a lot of
epidemic,
problems.
yeah.
So
And being one of the richest countries in the world,
we got a lot of problems.
We got a
We
lot
do.
of problems.
A lot of them
there's
are
more money in the
self-inflicted
top
wounds,
five.
man.
Top 5% got it all.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
They do. So when I was a little younger, my kids were younger. There's not any of this stuff out there for children. So I went out there and I looked at Robert Kiyosaki books.
Dude,
and I got the
he's legit.
teen book, and I made both of them read
Rich
it.
Dad Poor Dad.
Rich Dad Poor Dad for teens.
Mm-hmm.
And I read I got all his books, the cash flow quadrant and all this other stuff. So I'm buying in on that. I'm like, hey, look,
That's
you
good,
got to
dude.
take a look at this. You got to understand what you make, how much you save with that, what you made. You got to do this, you got to do that. You got to understand credit card is a debt, and then you got to understand points. You got to understand credit score. I mean, there's a lot of things. So it's funny because both my kids are very good salespeople, right? So they think if they got it, they can sell, they can do this. And I go, hey, whoa, what are you saving? Because it's not about how much you make, it's how much you save.
That's right.
That's going to build your longevity. And so those books really help.
Chad Dow 319, Chad Dow 319.
Thanks, Barb. Well, hopefully we can continue making more partnerships and keep talking. Maybe we'll have you in because you got a lot to talk about. Maybe have you in again. Maybe bring Spence in and
Love
we'll
to.
see, maybe we'll have like a 3-peat or something on the next 10. We'll
Yeah.
do something a little different. But so as far as episode goes right now, I think we're good. I think we got a lot of good content. Really appreciate you coming in. It's awesome. So thank you very much. Mike
Thank you.
Anderson, Inside the
Mike.
805. Big money in the 805. Maranatha Financial, and what was the link that you wanted?
FamilyMoneyClass.com.
FamilyMoneyClass.com. So I guess we're going to get out of here. Remember, everybody out there, you keep asking the questions. Ventura Toyota, keep answering them. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.